Honey, you need to get your shoes on. Honey, please get your shoes on. Honey, shoes, we're leaving as soon as I get my coffee. Seriously, shoes. Seriously, why are your shoes not on? I have literally told you 100 times, most third graders know how to get their shoes on in the morning. Jeez, you don't have to be so mean to me. I'm coming. Get your shoes on now, let's go. So you find yourself in the situation where you're telling your child to do something a zillion times and they're not doing it. You're telling them to do it way too many times, and that is a huge part of why they're not doing it. Unfortunately, many of our children learn to tune us out and to ignore us when we give these on repeat request. We often get a little bit more dysregulated every time we give a child a request and they don't follow through, because it feels like we're not being listened to. It might feel like you're being disrespected. It might feel like you're trying to do a zillion things, and why can't your child just do one little part? And when we've gotten into a pattern like this, unfortunately what our children learn is that they don't actually have to cooperate until you're right there in their face. And so there's much more delight in reading a book and like the sensory play they're doing and jumping on the trampoline or the couch or whatever. And so they're going to stay attuned to that until you give them a direction in a way that supports the cooperation. Now, if this is a pattern and your child has learned, I don't actually have to do it until she's right in my face and yelling at me, then yeah, it's going to be a little harder to break and we're going to have to work a little bit harder to flip it, but it's totally possible to flip. And the first thing that we're going to do to flip it is we're only going to give directions twice, okay? The first time you give the direction, shoes on. Okay, notice how I gave it not a lot of verbs, not a lot of language, just shoes on, melodically intoned. I'm going to close the gap between me and my child, so I'm going to be within arm's distance, and I'm going to make sure that book that she's reading is shut before I give the direction, because I don't want anything impeding me as the most salient thing in front of her, okay? I want to set her up for success to get her shoes on. Shoes on. I'm right next to her. I might even have the shoes and handing her the shoes. If she doesn't do it after the first time, I'm going to make sure that I'm closer and I'm going to make sure she does it. Shoes on, I'm going to say again, and then I'm going to help her put them on. This way she learns that when I say we're going to do something, we're actually going to do it. All that matters here is to give your child support to be successful.